What up? It's Password Dots, and for Skyrim month I posted a video in which I made a giant out of socks. And shortly after, I received a couple of comments from viewers who had some really great suggestions. Muddy Jones commented, "Make a Mudcrab." Mr. Mudcrab said, "A pleasant doll, sir, but I might rather see a doll of the noble Mudcrab." Morrowind Mudcrab posted, "Please make a Mudcrab from the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind because they are the best Mudcrabs." And Peter Mudcurb said, "I wanted a Mudcrab. This video is a disgrace." Wow, a lot of you really like Mudcrabs, and I'm with you on that. Except for the Morrowind Mudcrab. Not feeling you there. Now, while making a Mudcrab would be a lot of fun, they've already got that covered for you at Bethesda.com/store online. So there's really no need to... Oh. Oh, God. Oh, what is... Why? Why does it look like that? Why does it look like... Okay, I say this with a lot of love, Bethesda, but you f***ed up.
Did somebody call me?
Get out of here, Bethesda! I don't want to see your face! Wait, no. Come back here, I want to talk to you.
What is this? That's the official Elder Scrolls Mudcrab plushie. Newly marked down to $15.99.
No. There's no way. There's no way. What did you even base this on?
It's made from the softest fibers available.
Stop.
Make sure you buy Skyrim VR for the Oculus Rift.
Shut up.
Now $60.
Get out of here, Bethesda! I don't want to see your face!
Thanks for your money.
Obviously, we have to take this project into our own hands. Right, Bailey? We're going to take this into our own hands. We're going to make a Mudcrab.
This is roughly a 6 to 8 hour project, so let's take a look at our supplies. You'll want a pair of dark gray socks, you'll want a brown sock, one black sock, matching thread, black or brown, but I'll only be using black, needle, you'll want scissors, pins and a pin cushion, you'll also want stuffing, you'll need paper and pencil, and you'll want a scrap bin. Also, you need just a couple of black buttons. So let's get to work. First we'll make our crab shell, also known as the carapace, and to create that carapace we need a wide surface of fabric. As you can see, the tube of a sock isn't really that wide, unless you splay it open. So cut the sock right above the heel, and set that aside for now. Then trim whatever elastic you have at the ankle, and put that aside as well. Now take the remainder and cut the length of it just on one side so that you get one large sheet. Make 2 of these and put them face to face. Real intimate-like. Okay, put that down for a minute, grab your sheet of paper and your pencil. Let's do something I rarely do and draw a pattern. It won't be complicated. Outline your drawing space so you don't exceed your acreage, and draw up a Mudcrab shell. And you can do this entirely by eye, or if you're symmetrically challenged, fold it in half and draw one side. Make sure the points on your shell are larger than you want them, because after stitching, these are really going to shrink down.
This pattern will lay on top of our fabric so that we can stitch true to form, though of course we need to cut it out first. Oh, what's that? You're thinking these aren't the scissors that I was just using a moment ago? Well, you're right. That's because in order to preserve the life of our fabric scissors, we want to make sure that we're not putting them under a lot of stress, which means not using them on things like paper, cardboard, or plastic.
Now if you don't own fabric scissors, and you're doing this and the other Let's Stitch projects with just plain old house scissors, that's fine. Just know that if you've got one workhorse pair of clippers for all your craft needs, you might need to sharpen them up sooner rather than later. Pin your pieces of fabric together, then the pattern on top of that, just in the 4 cardinal directions, that's all you need. And you're ready to stitch! Now I'm going to assume you know the running stitch by this point, but if not, you can check out the other Let's Stitch videos in the Let's Stitch playlist. Go along your pattern line, leave a little bit of seam allowance, but the stretchy cotton of the sock is, well, stretchy, and it doesn't need a lot of excess fabric. And don't worry about stitching the paper to the fabric. The pulling of the thread is likely to go straight through, and if not, you'll have a nice perforation to tear along when it's finished. Just don't tear too hard. There's a limit to how much the thread can take, you buff babe. Take as much of that paper off as you can. It doesn't matter if some little scraps are still remaining. Then trim off all of that excess fabric. And we need to turn it inside out well, looks like we stitched the whole thing up. But that's okay. We're gonna make a new hole. Just like that. So now you can flip it inside out, and you can take your stuffing and, well, stuff it. Start with a little bit at a time so you can get into the small convexes. Once it's fully stuffed, there's no need to close that hole up there. But we're going to take some more thread, and what we did on the inside, we're now going to do on the outside. Run the thread from inside the carapace and make another running stitch all around the outside. This is really going to define that Mudcrab ridge. And that little crest where the eyes and antennas sit, we'll give that a ridge as well, using the same method. Honestly, I'm just shooting from the hip on this one. I don't know if this is going to look stupid when it's done or whatever. But, you know, that is for the angry crab gods to decide. The ridge is looking good. The M thing is TBD. Let's put the carapace aside for now. Pull out your brown sock. We're going to start this cut the same way we did with the gray sock, only this time we're leaving the tube intact. Make a round half-circle curve at the bottom and a bell-type curve at the top. Flip it inside out and put a running stitch on the top. Flip it right side out and stuff it loosely but evenly.
The reason you want the apron to be padded loosely is because you want it to be thin. Here's a double-edged sword about crafting with socks is that they're stretchy. As you stuff the sock, it wants to expand. It's not as plastic per se as the common fabric that a store-bought plush is made out of. But one thing you can do to keep your piece flat and thin is to quilt it. That's what we're going to do here. Also, I'm sorry if I look sweaty and disheveled. It got really hot out of nowhere, like whoa.
Close the bottom off with that favorite stitch, the ladder stitch. Then make sure that cotton is evenly dispersed before you get to quilting. Anchor your stitch just a little bit below the top on the side that will face into the carapace and actually loop over the edge instead of going through. That way you've made a clearer distinction of those two little mandibles. Use the running stitch the rest of the way. For the tail end, you might want to consider whether this is a male or a female mudcrab. I'm not sure whether Skyrim makes the difference apparent in the models, but in reality, crabs have gendered aprons. Males have a shape that's more, phallic, while the females have a wide, almost bell-shaped portion of their apron. This one will be a lady. Now what this section is truly is the housing for the sex organs. For females, there's also room for the eggs to be stored there. And did you know that crabs actually have tails? Well, this is it. This is their tail down there. Yes, that thing is the tail that is usually just tucked under their bellies, and I think that's a little gross. Just the thought of them having tails is just not comfortable to me. You might think that's cute, and you do you, but I'm just going to pretend that that is all one solid piece down there. Okay, attach your apron to your carapace using the ladder stitch. The ladder stitch is great for sewing on the outside of your project because the fabric stretches over the top of your thread and therefore is easily concealable. Now it's clobbering time, baby. You got that right. Draw up your pattern like you did with the carapace, make two, cut them out, put them on your gray sock, pin them, cut them, stuff them, easy as that. You do want to be somewhat careful because these are small pieces and you want to fill but not overfill. We'll put a running stitch along the top of the claw as well, so that way we get a clear defined joint. Then we'll need 6 legs, and you'll see I've got a little branding on the bottom of this sock. I don't really care about that. The way I see it, if you can't tell that it's made out of a sock, what's the point of making a doll out of a sock? Anyway, 4 of these legs you want to be pointy. They'll be identical, but the 2 back legs are the paddlers, so you'll want to cut them out a little bit rounder. Now let's take a second to running stitch all 6 of these together. My suggestion would not be to stuff these too full. Remember, they're small, they don't need a whole lot. And ladder stitch all 6 of these onto your carapace. Just a little bit outside the apron is fine. We'll make 4 segments to go with our arms, 2 little nuggets that are attached to the claws themselves, and then 2 longer appendages that will attach to the carapace. And what's a Skyrim mudcrab without its stony camouflage? It would be a baby mudcrab, actually, but we want a full-grown ankle crusher, so the rock is essential. The rock is always essential. Cut 4 or 5 scraps of the gray sock into similarly sized rectangles and put the good sides facing toward each other. Then use the running stitch to put a diagonal line from the bottom to the top. You're essentially making a flat top pyramid. This, honestly, is one of the most wingingest I could be in regards to form because it's just a rock. And also, I've been building this for 7.5 hours straight, so I'm really hungry and lacking a bit of focus. Flip the piece right side out and ladder stitch to the carapace. When you've got a small bit to go, stuff it nice and full and close it up. Now we can move on to the antennae. These need to be thin, and I'm not a big fan of frayed edges, so I'm cutting a bit more fabric than might be necessary from the edge of my black sock. That way the edges will stay tucked in as I stitch it up. Anchor your thread from the inside and put a really tight ladder stitch down the middle. Ladder stitch to the carapace. Beneath that, Mickey D, I'm sorry, I just want food. And finally, all that's left is to pick out a pair of peepers. I've got a few options here, all of them of the dark, beady variety. We've got a pair of metal eyes. They're a little bit too small for my taste. We also have a pair of gemstone eyes. A little too flashy, a little too much, a little extra. These ones are perfect. I love the baby bear eye aesthetic on a mudcrab. If you're feeling bold, you can choose the Mr. Mudcrab presentation, but I'm going to go with the classic mudcrab design. So to stitch these on, you just want to loop the button through, and you want to pinch that fabric each time you go along. And look at that. You just made your very own mudcrab.
So, with our mudcrab done, I've got to say, not too bad. I've made a second mudcrab, one that's more juvenile without the rock on the back. And while they're the same design, more or less, they do look very different. I'm not sure which one I like more. And of course, these don't look as professional as the official Skyrim Bethesda crab, whatever that thing is. But I'd take mine over theirs any day. Alright, so this has been a long day. I'm going to put these babies to bed, and then I'm going to put myself to bed. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, man. Oh, feels good to sleep. Why can't I sleep? Oh, why can't I sleep? Why? Oh. Oh, why can't I sleep? Oh, why can't I sleep? Why? All I want to do is sleep. Why? Oh, all I want to do is sleep. Why can't I sleep? Why? Oh, God, why? Why can't I sleep?